In any space where humans gather, offices, families, friendships, professionalism is the silent glue holding things together. Without it, every little friction becomes a full-blown fire. The way Kamza kept his cool in situations that would make most people snap wasn't just a skill, it was a quiet kind of power. He didn't flinch when Mael tried to get under his skin, and that self-control turned out to be his sharpest weapon. Pride, though, has a way of making intelligent people act like they've lost the plot entirely. Mael's arrogance wasn't just a personality quirk, it was a ticking time bomb. She strutted into rooms like she owned the oxygen supply, and the sad thing. She thought it was confidence. But there's a fine line between knowing your worth and thinking everyone else's worth is less than yours. True leadership is almost invisible. It doesn't shout, it whispers and still gets heard. Kamza never needed to wave his authority in people's faces. He didn't want to control, he wanted results. And that subtle difference was why people respected him without him having to demand it. Mael, on the other hand, believed leadership was about being the loudest voice in the room. She had to learn the hard way that a crown worn with arrogance is still just heavy metal. The shadow of parental pressure is one of the most suffocating forms of control. Mael's mother wasn't just protective, she was orchestrating her daughter's life like a chessboard she refused to lose. Forcing her into an engagement she didn't want wasn't about love, it was about control, reputation, and a twisted idea of what's best. It's amazing how love, when weaponized by family, stops feeling like love at all. And love, oh, love should never be a contract. The forced engagement felt like someone trying to cage a wild bird and expecting it to sing on command. It wasn't just about romance, it was about freedom. What Mael had with Kamza was messy and imperfect, but it was real. And real is something no signature on an engagement paper can produce. Standing your ground is expensive. It costs comfort, opportunities, sometimes even safety. Kamza refused to let anyone bully him into submission, not even when it risked his career. There's something magnetic about a person who refuses to sell their self-respect, even when the price offered is tempting. But human beings are experts at miscommunication. It's almost a sport. Half the tension between Mael and Kamza came from assumptions they never bothered to clarify. If you've ever watched two smart people argue about things they both misunderstood, you know how ridiculous and dangerous that spiral can be. Growth, though, is a strange thing. It rarely comes from winning. More often, it comes from facing your own mess. Mael's turning point wasn't when she got her way, it was when she realized she'd been standing in her own way all along. Kamza's calm confidence forced her to look at herself through a less flattering mirror. Workplaces are not temples of fairness. They are political arenas with fluorescent lighting. Kelvin's favoritism, the power games between Mael and Kamza, all of it just proved that talent alone isn't enough to survive. You also have to know how to navigate egos. There's a dangerous difference between loyalty and blind obedience. Kamza respected authority, but he wasn't about to be a yes man. Blind obedience is comfort for weak leaders, and poison for strong ones. Money is a loud liar. Mael had it all: wealth, privilege, access, and yet, she lived in emotional poverty. Money can buy walls high enough to block out truth, but it can't buy the peace of mind that comes from knowing the people around you actually care. Which brings us to friendship. It's easy to fill a room with people when the champagne is free and the table is yours. But when Mael's fortunes shifted, so did her friends. The silence of fair-weather companions is deafening. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is break the script written for you. Mael risked losing everything: money, family, comfort, to say no to the life her mother had planned. There's something intoxicating about a person willing to set fire to their safety net just to live honestly. Power is a drug. It doesn't just corrupt when abused, it intoxicates. Mael's mother wasn't evil in the fairy tale sense. She was just so used to bending the world to her will that she forgot it was made of people, not pawns. And yet, love has a habit of defying the neat little boxes society builds for it. Kamsi and Mael were from different worlds, but their connection proved that class is only a wall if you believe in it. Forgiveness is not weakness, it's war. It takes more strength to forgive someone who hurt you than it does to hate them forever. Kamsi's willingness to forgive Mael's early behavior wasn't naive, it was strategic. It freed him from carrying her mistakes like luggage. Titles are fragile. Kamsi didn't cling to his job title or use it as his identity. He understood that dignity is worth more than any position on a payroll. The irony. That's exactly why people wanted to follow him. Lies are like leashes, you may not feel them at first, but they control your every step. The Brotherhood scam was proof of how far deceit can stretch before snapping. Real growth is not just about learning, it's about unlearning. Mael had to unlearn her elitism, just as her mother had to unlearn her belief that love could be forced. Letting go of bad lessons is often harder than picking up new ones. And finally, happy endings are not gifts. They are battles won. Kamsi and Mael didn't stumble into joy, they bled, fought, and clawed their way toward it. In the end, their story wasn't about perfect love, it was about the relentless fight to protect something worth having.